Hi, this is Anusha. Do you mind taking 10 seconds of your time to rate and review us on any platform that you're listening to? This will really help other people find our podcast and we would greatly appreciate it. We do really want to meet other people. We really want to include more people into this community. We want to meet people that are also transitioning in their 20s. So we would really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Thank you so much. And now let's get into the episode.
Wait, but we don't have to have it figured out.
Guess what he said?
That's what
No,
they
not
say.
again.
But sometimes it's like,
I know.
there's so much free will.
But how
It's okay,
does a
take it easy.
20-year-old
I know,
travel
life
so
is
much,
hard.
but then we have
It's
so
so
hard. We
money.
figure so many things out. Money, marriage. No, I don't understand my friendship. Yeah, sometimes it's just so confusing.
I love you.
Having like a therapy session here right now.
Or maybe it's just conversations over coffee. I hate confronting
Hot
people.
chocolates. I would love a hot chocolate right now.
Do you want to start a podcast?
Let's do it. Welcome back to the 20s in Transition podcast, everyone. We are your hosts, Anusha Kanan and
Likita Gopinath, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about expectations from family, from ourselves, and how it can affect us in the right and the wrong way. So let's get started. I know that both of us didn't have a lot of expectations, but let's go through how expectations from families changes through different phases in your life. Like in school, you're expected to like be first in class. If you're put in extracurricular activities, you're expected to win awards or like the first place, things like that. And and in different stages of life, like I said, in college, you're expected to get like a 9-point GPA, get placed in campus, and then when you're like 24, 25, the run of the mill, you're like, when are you getting married? So different expectations, different phases of life. Let's start with school, right? In school, I think all of my friends know that my parents didn't give a damn about like how much I scored or how I was doing. They just cared about if I was a decent student, like, not making, uh, not being like a chit chatting person, not like troubling the class, not influencing other people in bad ways, things like that. So, all the PTA meetings my parents would attend, and they just want to make sure that, okay, is this girl a decent enough student? That's fine. We don't give a damn about her marks. So, I mean, it was also good in a way and bad in a way, because good in a way, because I saw my friends, okay. I had friends whose parents would sit them down every single day, go through their homework. I'm talking about middle school, right? Go through their homework and then like sit with them till the end of the night, till they get it right, the lessons, math or science or social sciences, whatever we had. And then when I would hear this from my friends, and I'm like, what, my parents don't even know like what subjects I have, like things like that. So it was very new to me, but it was also bad because in 11th and 12th things got serious, right? Like you had to, like, I mean, now that I think of 12th standard, it really doesn't matter like how much you score. The amount of pressure we're put through for boards exam really does not matter. It just matters for you to get into the right college. But yeah, I feel like that kind of expectation should have been there from my parents. Like, I'm not blaming them, okay? I know they gave me a good time. Like, they didn't give me a hard time with, expecting you should get 90% above. But because of the absence of that expectation, I had my own expectations of myself. Like, I was like loafing around the whole of 11th and 12th. And then in February, like, before, like, I think 2 weeks before boards, I had like a viral fever. And then my mom is like, there's no other reason for this fever apart from you're just scared of the boards. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really scared, because I really wild away my time the whole time in 11th and 12th, and now I'm really scared. And expectations of myself from myself was really really hard those 2 months. And I'm like, whenever I think of March 2016, I feel like my heart pounding, because I know that I was acting all cool outside, but on the inside I'm like, Likita, it's time to get serious. Like, nobody's expecting things from you, but you need to do this for yourself. But I ended up getting good marks. And but yeah, I think it was also good and bad in a way, because the absence just made me expect higher from myself. So yeah, that's about school. And I know that you also didn't have parents that didn't give a damn about marks and all that, right?
yeah, they didn't give a damn at all. Like they didn't care at all. Um, yeah, I was also like that. And I didn't have high expectations of myself. I wish I did, but I never did. I was just too cool. I didn't care about studying. I didn't want to go to school. I was having too much fun. I think I don't know, a lot of people put so much pressure around on themselves, right? My friends, they would start preparing for all the college stuff. They would tell me like, if you don't get this grade, you won't get into that college. I'm like, we have to go to college? What's college? Why do we have to go to college? What do you mean? I thought this was it. And I didn't know that. I think until 11th grade, I didn't know that we would go to college. I was that innocent. Like, I just didn't know. I don't know if I was dumb. I was just innocent. I just didn't know that you had to go to college. And I was like, okay, engineering college. Then I have to go to engineering college. So what do I have to do for that? And people were preparing so much because a lot of people around me wanted to go to IIT. So they were all preparing for that, like NEET exams. I don't know if it's NEET. What is it even called? I don't even remember. So many exams that they were preparing for. And I'm like, I don't think NEET is for medical, I think. Is it not?
There's need for medical and JE for
JE for, yeah.
engineering. Yeah.
So two types of people that were around me. And I'm like, I don't belong in either of these groups. Like, neither of these things make sense to me. I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't know what I want to be. What am I supposed to do? And then my older brother did his engineering. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do engineering too. If he's doing engineering, I have to do engineering too. And that's how my whole engineering stuff came up. But in school, I just never felt that pressure. But one thing that I did feel was I went to a school where my grandmother was also a teacher, and she retired right around when I was in seventh or eighth grade. So of course the entire attention of from the school was on me. Everyone was like, okay, what is Anusha going to do with her life? What is she doing? Everybody knew me. I was not famous for the right reasons. I was famous for the wrong reasons. I was famous because teachers knew me. Every single teacher who would pass me by, they'd be like, oh, there it is. There she is, granddaughter of that. I'm like, I am sick of this. I don't want this much attention. And I'm not someone that really cared about scoring grades. So it was just not the positive outlook for me, right? And people also didn't, I mean, I get that students also didn't like me because I was famous among teachers, and it was not like I was a great student. So why is she famous? And it was wild. It was wild times. And I don't think I'll ever say I love my school time. I was not. It was the most toxic period for me. I don't like my school period. It was not fun. And I went to a girls' school. So I've told you about this. Girls' school, not fun. Never put your children in girls' school. It's not fun. Co-education is the right way.
Yeah, I had so much fun. Like I could go on and on about my school days, but
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I made some of my best friends from your school, right? My One of my childhood friends. I think I first experienced the right kind of childhood friendships from your school, and I'm so thankful that I even made friends that way, and that's how we met.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a completely different kind of freedom to come from a family where you're not put in that place of you have to do this, you have to, what will I tell our relatives about your marks or things like that. This is what I hear from in general from other people, where your parents are putting you through so much because what will they answer to the rest of the family or things like that. And I'm so glad that I was not put through that, but I put myself through it, because what will I tell my uncle, what will I tell my grandma? But yeah. And that's in school. And college, it's a different kind of expectation. Like in college is where shit gets real. Like you are out in the real world. And when you get closer to fourth year, no, that's when it hits, I feel like. Because everybody's, like you said, everybody's attending interviews, and it's time for you to get a job or like prepare for masters. I had friends who were preparing for GRE from the third year, and I'm like, dude, take a chill pill, we're still in third year. And I felt so alone. I'm like, wait, life is to be enjoyed and taken slowly. Like, why would you want to rush things? But I mean, they did the right thing, because they're doing really well in the US. Like, all my friends are there. But yeah, I felt like in college it was real, because I moved, right, and my parents were not there to like know my day to day
Yeah.
life, how it's going and things like that. So the pressure of my own expectations was really high. And thank God I got a job there. So I was like, I had to put up a good face saying that, ma, I have a job now. Because I cannot imagine, like, I don't know, it's just that stereotype. So when I go traveling and I meet a lot of people, like I understand how different our culture is from other people, other countries, right? For
Yeah.
them it's not about like getting marks or like scoring, getting a 10 CGPA, or like having like a six-figure job or things like that. And I'm like, every time it gets me. I know it's different, I know cultures are different, but when I get to know that, hey, I was speaking to a friend from Taiwan, okay, and then I was like, hey, your parents don't care about like how well you're doing, or like if you want to get married or things like that. They're like, no, they don't give a damn. They just care if I'm happy and if I have, if I'm surviving, if I'm doing well. That's it. And like, wow, that is so different from how things are in India. Like, we have so many expectations. It's like we have to achieve so many things before like we're 25 or like 30 or like 40. And then I was telling them, like, we're expected to get married at like 25 and have a really good job and have like a master's degree. And they're like, what? That is so much pressure. I'm like, that is true. And that's how, if you pick any average Indian, they would have a master's degree or they would have a really great job, or, they would have 100% they'd have an undergrad degree from a really great institution. And they're like, oh, that's really nice. No wonder why they say Indians are really smart and they get, work done from Indians. And I'm like, yeah, there's a reason. We have parents who really care about us and who have high expectations.
They care too much,
Yeah.
more than they probably should. I think college for me was, again, still didn't know that after college you have to go to work. I didn't know. I mean, I think someone should have given me a map like, hey, Dora the Explorer, this is the map.
You were
When
in the
you,
present, I think. Too much in the present.
yeah, too much in the present. Like, I didn't care about grades. I told you, right? I've talked about this before. The first day of engineering college, I knew that, yeah, not my cup of tea. Because I asked one question. I was like, how does a computer understand what you're inputting into it? It's not human, right? So how do you understand? And my computer science teacher was like, you're asking too many questions. I was like, I thought college people will answer my questions and you guys are not. And I was like, okay, this is not my cup of tea. Nobody wants to answer my questions. I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm just going to sit quietly in class. And that's what I did for 3 years. But toward, I think, these college have all these American educational fairs. Like colleges from America would come to your campus and they'll be like, hey, come and join us, do your master's degree with us. And every single one of my friends would go to that and they'd take me with them. And they'd ask so many questions. They'd take all these pamphlets and ask them like, hey, what GPA do we need? I'm like, what GPA? We're doing GPA? We look at our GPAs? I've never looked at my transcript. What do you mean GPAs? And there are so many questions and I was so unaware and I didn't also care about that, right? I didn't care about getting GPA. I didn't care about wanting to do a degree abroad. I didn't even think about doing an MBA or anything like that. And my friends were so concerned about that. I thought maybe I should be like that too. Maybe I should just do whatever they're doing. And I think that was peer pressure for me. I was like, okay, everybody's doing it. I'm going to see what that is and try to do that as well. I had one friend, my friend and I, we joined a GMAT class. And I'm like, okay, I'm also going to do MBA. Let's see. I didn't even know why you need to do an MBA. I didn't have the mindset of, what's the importance, what's the significance of it. I didn't know that. And then I started doing my research and I somehow became this obsessed studying person all of a sudden within just 1 year. Fourth year of engineering college, I was a very different person. I was like, marketing, 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 obsessed with marketing. I want to learn more about marketing. Because I had this one book called Marketing Management by Philip Kotler. He's an author. It was my mother's MBA book. I took that out and became obsessed with marketing with that book. And then I started looking at all of these things, and the whole comparison thing about other people, what others are doing, went away. It was just about me. What am I doing with my life? What am I supposed to do? Everybody was sitting for placements, and I was sure that I didn't want to sit for placements. I didn't want to work in any of those companies. I didn't want to get trained by my college because you had to stay, you had to do a night camp. You had to stay with your classmates overnight to do all of those things. I'm like, no, not my cup of tea. And it was a very bold decision to take at that age because everybody is doing something and you want to stand out. And that's a very scary thought, right? But I did that. And it's scary because think about it, right? The reason that everybody is doing that is because that's what our seniors did. Our engineering college seniors did the exact same thing. They did their masters in the US. And everybody started doing, I ended up doing my masters in the US too, but it was not because everybody was doing it. It was because, okay, I had an idea. I knew what I wanted to do. And it made more sense to me that way. I think that was the whole thing about doing undergrad for me.
Yeah, let's talk about the next phase of life where you've gotten the job and then you're like going towards the next milestone. See, I've stopped looking at life as milestones now. Okay, I am done. But this was imposed on us by our parents. Like, what's the next milestone? What's the next milestone? I'm like, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe like get a higher paying job or like travel to more countries. They're like, no, get married. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is why I do
Talk,
meditation. No.
talk about this because I think when we all got our jobs, we started comparing our salaries. We did that.
Oh,
We
yeah.
just like we wouldn't tell our salaries out there. We just be like, so that person in this company, which would be the company that you're working for, would be like, that's what they're making. And then we try to look at your face to see, what are you making?
Yeah.
That was so stupid to think about that. And who really cares about
I
how much you make? I mean,
absolutely hate discussing, how much everyone's making, and
I love it. I love it.
you do.
Because I
No.
love it because I think that's how you become informed about what's the current market rate. Because
Yeah,
I think
that's
a lot
true.
of people don't understand. That's the only
I
reason I
mean,
talk. It's
if,
not to,
yeah, if that's the context, then yes.
yes, yeah.
Unless we're on this in the same field, looking for the same role, then it makes sense. Of course, I'm going to tell you how much I'm going to make, but
Yeah,
otherwise, like, it's just like a matter of ego, right? Like, that's why you want to know how much I make, and
yeah.
that's I don't say it out, and yeah,
No. It's like,
that's exactly where comparison comes into play. Like, oh my
yeah. And
gosh, she's
I think we're all inbuilt with that, right? It's not jealousy, but it's
true.
like it comes out. It's like, okay, so she's making that
Yeah,
much,
this is
so and I'm
where
not.
go back to like sixth standard or seventh standard when your parents said, how much did your friend get in the subject? In EVS, how much did she get? Did she get higher than you? Then why did you
Yes.
not get this much? That's where it goes back to.
Listen, all I knew was mitochondria boros of the cell. That's all I studied. Right? That's all I remember. Because listen, my mom was someone that would sit with me and study, make me study. But she was not like, you have to get 100. She was just like, at least pass. Please study. That's how it was. The bare minimum was just pass. That's all I want from you. And I was fine with that. Even that felt like pressure to me. I'm like, I have to go to school. You want me to go to school? I have to cool for all of that. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, I like that we grew up like that because I think now we
Yeah,
have such high self esteem. But I've also seen my
I
classmates
don't
that didn't
know.
grow up that way.
I don't
You
know if
don't
it's a
have.
good thing. Because I feel like my parents thought, oh, she's such an easy child. We don't need to. Because my brother was the opposite back then. Now he's like super pragmatic, like super practical, and yeah. I hope he's listening, but he is like he has this shit sorted. Okay, back then, before like 11th and 12th, he was the most horrible child to ever have. Like the stories my parents tell about him. So we were like two poles, right? Like I was an easy child. I used to score really great marks. I was very obedient, didn't have any complaints, the perfect child until like 12th. And my brother was the opposite. So all my parents' focus was on him, like getting him to like, obey what the teachers say, getting him to study. But that never happened until 12th or something. So I feel like I was neglected. I don't know. Maybe it's playing out somewhere in my life now. But I feel like I was easy child. But back then it was like a trophy. Oh, she's so easy. Everything she does on her own. I'm like, yeah, I used to do everything on my
Yeah.
own.
It's never nice to hear people say it like, oh, she's easy or she's happy all the time. Oh, she's very. It's not nice to hear that. It's like, no, I have problems too. Look at me.
Yeah.
I hate it when people say that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So lack of
I,
expectations is also it can be
yeah.
good or bad. Either one.
True. Yeah, I think the next milestone is job. My first job was, I don't even know what I was doing, man. I was just like, okay, I got a job. Let me work. And I worked for 1 month and then I quit. I'm like, no, not for me. Not for me. I quit my job and then I did my postgrad and then I did my master's. And I was like, you know what? I had one of my friends tell me, she was like, how many more degrees are you going to do? When are you going to start working? And that again was funny, but still like, so I'm supposed to work just because everybody is working my age? What if I don't want to work? What if I want to do something else? What if I just don't want to work at all? And all of those thought processes were in my head like, why should I do what everyone else is doing? I didn't want to be a part of the rat race, but I knew I was a part of it anyways. But I still like it. There's this thought process of what if I'm better? What if I can do something better? I think all of us have that. That's why we're doing this podcast because obviously we don't want to be, we're not just like just this person. We want to diversify who we are as a person. And that's okay. And I think that thought process might also stem from us, not being treated as a child that's like, oh, you have to get this mark, you have to do this, you have to do that. I think maybe that's how it's playing out for me. Like, you can do whatever you want. I'm like, okay, I'll do whatever I want. Not one, I'll do three podcasts. Not one job, I'll do two jobs. I'll do this, that. I think that's a good thing too. Maybe it's playing out in the right ways for some of us, and maybe it'll show up later in the future. Maybe that's how we'll be with our kids. If we have one, we'll just be like, okay, hey, we didn't grow up like this. Why would we put that kind of pressure on you? And with how the world is going so rapidly, growing and all that, I think we'll be. I don't know. Maybe it'll show up there. We never know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
and then
that's a story for like I think years in the future.
right, too far away.
Yeah. For now, let's just think about today.
The next
Uh,
phase of life, which
no.
is no, the 25, the major milestone that not just your parents are involved in, but relatives come into play. They're like, okay, now let's talk about when is she getting married, especially girls.
Why don't you fucking mind your own business? I want to tell them this is so bad. I'm like, Auntie, what is happening in your house? You first look at that. Focus
Yeah.
on your family, okay, and your husband and your children. Not don't poke your nose into our business, okay. Oh, I hate relatives like that, which is why I don't go to any family functions. I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna stay at home and sleep. That's it. Unnecessary expectations from them.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's an Indian concept, but if it's a universal one, like, I don't know. Why are you, my question whenever someone asks me that question, I'm like, what are you doing in your marriage? Tell me five
Yeah.
positive key
Like
takeaways.
like
I'm
auntie,
not
as if
against marriage.
your marriage is an inspiration.
I'm not against getting married or nothing like that. I just want to know why you're so interested. Like, what is so good about it that you want me to get married? Just tell me that. I'm
Ma, the
not saying I don't
clock
want to
is
get married.
ticking, Ma. The clock is ticking.
What clock? Oh my god.
Biological clock.
So what? I have to be unhappy in life just because you are
No, go
unhappy in
give
life?
them hand them like a biology book or something. Maybe
I
they have
mean,
not read it.
they're not exactly wrong, but at the same time, we don't like hearing it. Don't tell us that. That can't be the reason why we get married. We're too modern for that. This is what I feel. Yeah,
We're
I
too
think,
focused on ourselves.
yeah, and that sounds very bad. I don't think we should put it that way. It sounds like we're only concerned about us. I think we value our peace and independence a little bit more than what it used to be. And I also think parents don't generally look at you and think, "Oh, time to get this girl married." They don't look at you that way. It's when the relatives start saying these things to your parents, they become like, "Oh, the society is expecting this from us as parents, and then we have to do it." What about me
Yeah.
as a child expecting something from you? I have not had this problem with my parents. Like, I'm not even calling them out. They're not like talking about marriage to me. But I'm saying, like, it's a very general topic, and we see a lot of our friends getting married. We see a lot of our friends
Yeah.
talking about it. And I'll tell you one thing: I will ask my friends when they're getting married, but aunties cannot ask. That's the rule. I will call you and up and ask you, like, Likita, when you're getting married, Likita, tell me, Likita. But no one else can ask you. I can ask you.
Yeah, and it's better that way. Like I don't want some random relative coming and asking me this. I'm like, hey, who are you, by the way? I've never seen you before. Why do you suddenly come up out of nowhere just to inquire about when I'm getting married? Why don't you just mind your own business?
And I also think the comparison game comes into play there as well. Like, that girl got married at that age.
Yeah.
She has two kids. She lives happily. You could have also been that way. Thank you. I know. You think I don't know that? I know that. Who are you talking to? I know that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
I mean that I think that's like the final stage, no, because we can only talk about that much. We haven't even reached that phase yet.
We're still
But
transitioning.
yeah, transitioning in our mid 20s.
Yeah. I mean, this topic was actually requested by someone. They asked us to do this podcast, so we're doing an episode. We thought it was funny because it came from an Indian. So I'm like, huh. No American or any other citizen has ever asked this question. So interesting.
Maybe it doesn't really exist in their culture
I have no
expectations.
idea. I have no idea. I'm not about to make assumptions. I'm sure like a lot of family dynamics still is they
The
have some
same.
similarities, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's this much.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
in the Asian culture it's very, very prominent.
Yeah.
Right. I've heard the same things in Southeast Asia as well. But yeah. I feel like yeah, that's the last stage we can really talk about. And have
Yeah.
we missed something?
I don't think so. Have we missed something, guys? Let us know. We have no idea what we're missing. But we
Yeah.
will, as we transition, we'll probably have more inputs and we'll come back with more stories that way.
Yes.
What about you?
Uh,
What are the challenges that you guys are facing? Not challenges, just things you've picked up on as you've grown up. What are the things you think
yeah.
has that's playing a huge role in your life right now? What do you think it is? Let
Yeah.
us
What were
know.
your parents? I know a lot of parents' expectations are very similar. So, what were your expectations from yourself in any aspect in your life or any situation in your life? Let us know, and we'd love to know.
Yeah.
hear.
Yep. And
With that, we've come to the end of this episode. So thank you so much for listening. We really hope you liked this episode. Stay tuned for more. Let us know what you feel. Like Anusha said, give us your feedback on the NGL link or DM us on Instagram. Yeah,
and we're on YouTube now, so you can always comment. So let us know the
subscribe.
video is only on YouTube. So
Go
subscribe.
subscribe.
Yeah, turn on the bell notification. I've watched too many YouTube videos to not say this. Turn on the bell
Oh.
notification.
Yeah, do that. Do whatever she says.
What
Bye,
am I saying?
guys.